Hi, Wandering Woman with Travel Award Search. We've done several videos on trips to Europe. Today we're going to take a look at going to Tokyo, starting with the gateway cities of San Francisco and Los Angeles on the West Coast. We're going to take a look at a number of different airline websites, so we will make some notes as to where those start in case you want to skip over some of them. First, as usual, we'll go to United to search for Star Alliance Airlines. I'm going to disobey my own rules this time and not sign in because I have already looked at these flights and there are no mileage plus business benefits in this time frame. Looking at going in the fall, so quite a ways out, about 9 months out, and I'm going to take a look at flexible dates in September. When you run the search this way, it does take a little while for the results to come through. So if we look at the calendar, it's 175,000 miles throughout this time frame. Let's look if we go in October, if we do any better. And no, those results are the same. So let's go back to September. I'm going to go for September 15th and let's order them properly. And so we can get a nonstop from San Francisco to Narita. It is 175,000 miles, which is a little steep, but only a little more than $5 in fees. And then there is a second nonstop from San Francisco to Haneda for that same amount. So let's certainly make note of those flights. But let's also see if we do any better out of Los Angeles. And no, it looks like we get the same kind of results. Let's see what the specifics are from Los Angeles. So we do have a nonstop into Narita and another one into Haneda. So you can take a look if you need to do a positioning thing, which is better for you, LA or San Francisco, should you decide these are the right flights for you. And then of course there are others with a stop, but not for any less miles, so it wouldn't make any sense. And let's move on to American. On American, I put in San Francisco to Tokyo. This is for September 11th. We have one seat at 60,000 miles, but going through San Diego. Let's take a look at the 13th. Also has 60,000 miles. This is one stop through LAX. How interesting. Let's take a look at if we move it to directly from LAX to see if we get that same result on the nonstop. And the American website is the key place to search for one world flights. It does show 60,000 miles. Let's keep our fingers crossed that that is a nonstop. Put it in order. And yes, it is, leaving LA at 2:05, getting to Haneda at 5:25 in the evening for 60,000 miles and about $6 in fees. So that is a very good result. Certainly make note of that. And you also see it's operated by Japan Airlines. So again, let's not stop there. Let's move on to checking out Alaska Airlines. Although they're a One World partner, let's see if there's any differences in the point values for flights and availability with them. As I've filled in the information here, I also want to click all search options and click on Award Calendar and then Find Flights. We're going to try that sweet spot on the 13th. Oh, let's click on Business. There we go. 50,000 miles. That sounds pretty good. Let's take a look at what that is. And we can fly for 50,000 miles and $46 on Cathay Pacific, but we're going to spend 20 hours in the air and make a stop in Hong Kong. Or we can spend 60,000 miles and $19 to go on a nonstop and recover 9 hours of our life. Now this, you might have noticed, is exactly the same flight we pulled up on the American website that had the same number of points, but $6 in fees. So this is slightly higher. But if you have Alaska Airlines miles available and not American Airlines miles, this would be a good option for you. So next, let's also look at ANA, All Nippon Airways. So the other Japanese airline besides JAL. You do have to join their point program in order to search for flights, but you do not need to have any points in your account in order to do so. It's a little tricky, and I find their system quite frustrating, but I'll give you the example. First of all, you have to go down the page to all search options. So you come to this page and then you need to click on award reservation. On ANA, they only allow awards for round trip flights or for multiple cities. So we're just going to look at it as a round trip from San Francisco to Tokyo. Again, we're going to look at September. Let's try that magic 13th. And then we need a return on this one. So then we search, and you can see this note that says you can check dates on which seats are available. And so it says that on the 13th and the 28th, seats are available. So that sounds really good. As you might suspect, there's more to the story. Then it tells me there are no seats available for the class selected. It does give us the information that it's 85,000 miles minimum plus a hefty fee of $767 noted at the bottom. These flights show waitlisted. I did try to check on some other days to see if there was availability and got a little frustrated with the cumbersome process. I did confirm that this is for the round trip flight. If this is something that could work for you, you might want to spend some time hunting around to see if you can find availability, or perhaps call ANA to get help with finding that. I want to see if there are any other airlines I may have missed, so I'm going to go to Google Flights and first check LA to Tokyo. And I see there is a Delta one-stop flight. There's a Singapore Airlines nonstop. And then I also checked from San Francisco and saw that Air Canada has a flight with a stop. So I'm going to check on those. So for Singapore Airlines, I happened to do a little research ahead of time, found out they fly from Los Angeles to Narita. We're going to check that out. So on the 13th of September, which seems to be our magic date, we can get a flight for 123,000 miles, quite a bit more than what we had through the American or Alaska websites. On the 12th, we can get it for a little bit less, for 103,000. So that is a nonstop from LA to Tokyo, and Singapore Airlines is known as a very good airline. That's a potential, although it is quite a bit more than what we're looking at. But while we're there, let's also check, let's see if we can fly in first class if we really want to splurge. So we can. That takes a pretty hefty point balance of 187,000 miles. But if you want to splurge, it is available out there, and that would be something to look at in that case. So now let's go to Delta. So I ran the search already for Delta from LA to Tokyo on that September 13th. And as you can see, the lowest fares are 280,000 points. Quite a bit more than on the others, but let's see what they look like. So Delta One is the lie flat beds. So that is a nonstop from LA to Haneda. And then we start getting into higher points and a stop, which doesn't make a lot of sense. If you have Delta miles and you like flying Delta, then that may be something for you to look at. So now let's check Air Canada. So from San Francisco to Haneda, we get 74,000 miles. That doesn't sound so bad, except it's a 31-hour flight and mixed cabin with just 15% in business class, meaning your overseas flight is in coach. Similar results for the rest. Here's one that does have 82% in business class, but will take you 31 hours to get there. So I'm going to say that the Air Canada flights are unacceptable. Now let's take a look at the summary of the search results that we have today. We did record that pretty diligently in a spreadsheet. It's a bit of a pain to do that, but it really pays in terms of getting a very clear view of what your results are. In this example, the Japan Airline nonstop flight, on either the American website or the Alaska website is the hands down winner if you have those points available to you. Although the ANA flight is next due to the miles, and this was a round trip, so that's a big advantage, you might want to jump to the Singapore Airlines flight at the 103,000 miles without any significant copay. Singapore is a partner of virtually every transferable points currency, so it's pretty easy to get points for a Singapore Airlines flight. Beyond that, it really doesn't make sense to go up to the higher levels, unless of course you want to get the first class flight with Singapore. And you can see here how important it is to go ahead and search these different sites, because we've got a spread of almost 5 times the amount of points required for a Delta flight than for a flight through the American website. This is Wandering Woman with Travel Award Search. Hope you enjoyed this rather in-depth search of flights from the West Coast to Tokyo. As always, we appreciate your support, so give us a like or subscribe to our channel. We appreciate any comments or questions. As always, travel wisely, travel well. Thank you.